Hey, think about this for a second. If you were to walk into a room full of runners and ask who has had their life changed by running, I would almost guarantee that 80% of them would raise their hand and say, yes, running has changed my life. Running is a huge part of our identities. It's more than just fitness. It's more than just hitting the pavement. It is who we are. So what happens when someone wants to rain on our parade? What happens when someone thinks we're crazy for wanting to run so much? Well, my name is Jason and this is Running Motivation in 90 Seconds. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing and dropping a thumbs up. I post weekly content on this channel all about running, from motivation to training tips to shoe reviews, you name it, it's here on this channel. So be sure to subscribe. I have been a runner for almost 19 years, and if I had a nickel for every time someone asked me,
why do you like running so much?
Isn't running bad for you?
You wake up how early?
I would be a very rich man. And in my chiropractic office, it's pretty much the same thing when I'm talking to patients. Sometimes this gets pretty old, I'm not gonna lie. But it gets especially old when people think you're crazy and call you crazy for being a runner. Well, the other day I was on this cool app called TikTok. Have you heard of it? And I've heard this pretty profound quote. The quote was, if it makes you happy, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. Read that again. If it makes you happy, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. So let me ask you a question. What made you want to become a runner in the first place? What got you to walk out that door and start running? For me, it was in middle school. I remember standing on the blacktop at PE one day when my coach stood in front of all of us and asked, who wants to run cross country in high school? Now, I was a terribly shy, scrawny, and goofy little middle schooler. And one of the cool kids shot his hand up so fast and said,
Jason T. He'll run cross country in high school.
At the time, I was super embarrassed. I was this quiet little kid. But looking back, if it wasn't for this popular kid that rose his hand, I probably wouldn't have run cross country at all. Since that day, I have run thousands of miles. I've fallen in and out of love with running several times, but I cannot deny the happiness that it brings into my life. Now don't get me wrong, some days are worse than others. Some days I don't like it very much, but I always love it. I always love running. And it doesn't matter what other people think. If it makes me happy, it doesn't need to make sense to anybody else. And that goes for you too. If you love running, it doesn't matter what other people think. If you know it makes you happy, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to make sense to other people if it makes sense to you. So remember, you are a runner. Don't ever feel alone. There are people just like you all over this world. Remember, if it makes you happy, it doesn't have to make sense to everybody else. And you never know, your happiness may brush off on someone else.